Good afternoon, everybody. Today I'm chatting with Kal Malhi from Hertz Energy. In this interview, we get into the recent 50 basis point cut by the Federal Reserve and the impact that that could have on the Canadian junior markets, as well as Hertz transition into focusing on 2 antimony properties in Canada, and also what has recently driven the price explosion in the price of antimony. All right, everybody, enjoy the interview. Kal, good to see you again.
Steve, good to be with you again.
So, Kal, right as we're talking, this will be probably the day after for our audience, but the Federal Reserve just announced that they're cutting interest rates 50 basis points. Now, I know that you're largely involved in junior deals in Canada. How big do you think seeing the rate cuts mean for the Canadian junior markets?
I think, Steve, there's a hope that the reduced interest rates will not only make capital more readily available for investment, but we're hoping that capital will flow into the junior markets more than it has. I think the surge in interest rates took a lot of capital away from high-risk investments, and hopefully this will bring that back in some manner.
Do you think that historically, when we've seen rate cuts start, it seems like this is the beginning on our way back to zero? Or do you think that we're going to sit kind of more maybe in that like 200 to 300 basis point range?
I think we'll see a medium in here. We probably will never see the zero rates that we did, but I think they'll be a lot more attractive than where we've been. And the capital markets, especially the junior markets, always do well with the interest rates being lower.
So, Kal, in the past, when we've had you on, we've been talking about Hertz Energy. The company's gone through a little bit of a transition of recent. What can you tell us?
But Steve, we're still a critical minerals focus. We've just streamlined our focus on what projects, and those are the lithium projects we have in James Bay. We're waiting on uranium in Namibia, and now we've added 2 very strong antimony projects, one in Quebec and one in New Brunswick.
Let's talk about antimony. This is a metal that we know we've written about on our platform, and it's gotten quite a bit of views. There's a lot of talk in the mining world about it right now. Let's just start off high level. What is antimony? What's it used for?
Steve, antimony is a mineral that's used very heavily in military applications, in building weapons, high-tech gadgets for the military, as well as solar panels and electrical components. Recently, we've seen a lot of chaos in the world. We've seen the war in Ukraine eat up a lot of inventory of military weapons in the U.S. We've now recently seen the Middle East. So there's a bit of a rush to replenish inventories for military weapons, and antimony is very crucial to that. To top all that off, China just put a restriction on exporting antimony, and they were controlling about 60% of the worldwide antimony market. So that's where we are in antimony, and the need is quite urgent for antimony around the world and for countries to secure their own source.
What do the current exploration plans look like at this stage? Can you maybe tell us a little bit about the properties you have and what needs to happen to move the projects forward?
Yes, our property, the Harriman property, is in the Gaspé region of Quebec. It's very well located for infrastructure. It had a very high-grade antimony occurrence that's known there, and around the property, other occurrences for antimony. And we've just launched a geochem survey on the ground that starts next week. So we've actually just acquired it 2 weeks ago, and we've already got a crew heading there. And in New Brunswick, we've also acquired the Lake George Antimony Project, and we're just planning an exploration program to start there in the next weeks.
So, Kal, I know you as one of the guys who's out there in the Canadian junior markets and mining, who's always looking at various properties and sort of often ahead of the curve. How many antimony properties of value are out there? Was it hard to go out and find these?
Steve, antimony has not been explored for outside of China or in North America. There's very few countries. China and Russia and Tajikistan were controlling antimony. So the rush to explore antimony is fairly new in North America. We believe we identified some very high-grade antimony in Quebec. We also identified the Lake George property. Our Lake George property surrounds the largest and the highest producing antimony that's been known in North America. It's been in production from 1876, and it was in production until 1996 when it was shuttered due to low antimony prices.
Now, you guys hinted in your news release that you guys may have an interest in this past producing mine. Can you give us any color on that?
Yes, the Lake George antimony mine, like I said, is a very high grade antimony mine that was in production. Now, with antimony prices having gone up from 8,000 to 24,000 a ton, it can be economic. It's currently owned. It's on care and maintenance. It's owned by the province of New Brunswick, and we've had talks with them where they've alluded to the fact they may be offering that for tender. And with our position of owning all the geologically favorable ground around that project, we think we may have inroads to acquire that as well. And we're very interested in doing that.
Okay, so Kal, if I'm an investor watching Hertz, what am I looking out for over the remainder of the year?
I think our goal has always been, Steve, to develop an economic resource in critical minerals. And we've got very strong projects in lithium next to Rio Tinto in James Bay. Namibia is also a very favorable country for uranium, so we're waiting for that. But our current focus in Canada will now be antimony. And fortunately, Quebec is very friendly for capital for exploration. There's what's called a flow-through a funding program in James Bay where flow-through capital is very readily available. And Hertz Lithium right now has about $750,000 in flow-through capital that we can deploy to our James Bay critical minerals immediately.
Now, Kal, I got to ask you one question just because you know how it is. Retail investors, they're going to react. They're going to say, hey, this company is focused on lithium, then uranium, now antimony. What's your response to any of the investors out there who's to question the turn in direction?
Steve, like I said, I think in our generation, we've seen several generational investment opportunities come, whether that's the computer age, the social media age. And I think the critical minerals is another age or a generation investment opportunity. Hertz is a critical minerals focused company. We're not a one-trick pony. We've got lithium, we've got uranium, we've got antimony, and we've got the funding in place to actually go take real serious shots at those projects.
Well, Kal, thanks very much for hopping on here. I love what you guys are doing in antimony. I think that it's you guys are clearly one of the first movers there, and let's hop back on here as you guys roll out your exploration so you can update our audience on how it's going.
Okay, perfect, Steve. Thanks for allowing me to talk about Hertz Energy and our projects.
All right, everybody, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this interview, please smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Also, let me know what you think in the comment section. Thanks, everyone.